Hi-do-leo and Happy New Year, Drinkarinos. It's episode 1 of the 2025 season of the Idaho Booze Podcast. I am your host, Steve Kuntz. On today's episode, we welcome Randy Mann from Up North Distillery. He's going to talk about his farm-to-flask approach and how he differs from other distillers in the state. Plus, we talk cask strength and the right way to enjoy those. And we look at some new NA beers in Friday Night Pints. We'll have our Warren Reserve cocktail of the week, and we'll take a quick look at some brew news. Strap in. It's a brand new season and episode of the Idaho Booze Podcast. This show brought to you by Warren Reserve Cocktail Company. Looking to spice things up in the cocktail department? Try adding a little taste of chili to your next cocktail with Chili Lime Bitters from Warren Reserve. Just 2 drops will give your old-fashioned, whiskey sour, or margarita just the right amount of zing to warm you up in these cold winter months. Want to feel the burn? Just add another 2 drops. Chili Lime Bitters turn a simple Bloody Mary into a beautiful spicy Bloody without adding more mix or booze. Just a couple of drops of Chili Lime Bitters will do ya. Get Chili Lime Bitters at warrenreserve.com, order online, get free delivery, plus save 15% on orders over $40 with my promo code IdahoBooze25 at checkout. That's warrenreserve.com, IdahoBooze25 at checkout. Save tons of money on awesome bitters from Warren Reserve Cocktail Company. Here's a new segment to the show that we are calling the Warren Reserve Cocktail of the Week, and it's brought to us by Warren Reserve Cocktail Company, makers of the incredible West 509 bitters, as well as other great bitters and syrups. This week's cocktail comes to us from Adrian Warren, and it is called A Christmas in Paradise. Now, for this drink, you're going to add 2 ounces of bourbon. So you're going to go ahead and add that into the shaker. Then a half an ounce of coconut rum, 2 ounce coconut milk, half ounce Warren Reserve pumpkin spice syrup, 2 to 3 dashes of Warren Reserve coffee pecan or West 509 bitters. I think we all know which way I go there. West 509. Awesome stuff. Shake all that up in the cocktail shaker with ice. I prefer 1 big rock to many smaller rocks to control that dilution. Shake that up until cold to the touch. Strain into a rocks glass with ice and top with some freshly grated nutmeg. Delicious. Thank you so much for the cocktail of the week from Warren Reserve Cocktail Company. Welcome back to the Idaho Booze Podcast. I'm Steve Kuntz. We've been gone for the last couple of weeks. So sorry, I had to take a little holiday sojourn, and that was so I could catch this cold. So, it was a holiday well spent, I think. So I'll try to catch everyone up on what's what in brew news. So Payette did lease the brewery portion of its building to a ski shop. It's called the Après Mobile Ski Tech Shop, I guess. Haven't had a chance to see what that is yet, but I'm sure it's, it's like a place where you go get your skis and snowboard kind of tuned up, or you get bindings, stuff like that. For ski people, apparently, you can tell I am definitely not a ski person, but you can drink there. And so with your Boise Beer Buddies card, you get $5 off board or ski servicing while you drink there. So go ahead and use the Boise Beer Buddies card there. Our friend Adam from Alliteration Ales was able to fully fund his bookstore/bar. They're going to call that Old Speak. It's going to be in Garden City. They did that through crowdfunding, so thank you everybody who helped out with that. It's awesome. I will share with you any information I get on that. Plus, big hearty congratulations out to a friend of the show, Adam, and his team at Old Speak/Alliteration Ales. Great job by you guys. Destination Beer still has a few tickets left. I cannot recommend this event enough as it combines 2 of my favorite things, breweries and tons of snow. I saw on IBU's social media and just got confirmed from Sheila that we are down to the last 25 tickets or so for Saturday and just under 100 left for Friday. So if you want to frolic in the frozen mountains with a couple dozen of your favorite brewers, then get over to idahobrewers.org today and get your tickets. Our friends at Barbarian Brewing have completed their new patio. I believe it's on the north side of the bar. The new patio, pretty sick. Multiple fire pit tables, new lights, some torch heaters. Gives it a nice, cozy, wintry patio vibe that I'm all for. It looks awesome. We can't wait to get over there and check it out. Great job by Barbarian. That's at their Garden City location, the brewery location. The downtown location, as I understand it, the patio is still the same. The grand opening of a new beer bar in Nampa is coming up tomorrow, Saturday, January 11th. Pub and Putt at 1215 2nd Street South in downtown Nampa. Has tons of local craft beer taps, including a couple from Gem State, Plus, they'll have door prizes, a hole-in-one challenge, raffle prizes, and other fun stuff going on this weekend to celebrate their grand opening. A bunch of buddies went to check that out at their soft opening, Pub and Putt soft opening, a couple weeks ago. I'm still looking for my invite. I'm going to check the mailbox maybe. And so the place was super fun. Had great beers, and that the golf was pretty good. So go check that out in Nampa. That's Pub and Putt, and it's on 2nd Street South in downtown Nampa. Finally, Brown Beard Brewing is doing a really fun promotion called The Quest for the Golden Coin. Each Wednesday at Brown Beard's Barrel House for $10, you get a beer and then one custom coin. So these coins are going to change throughout the next few weeks. There's 150 of them, I think, that they minted, with 25 of them being real gold. So for $10, you could get a beer and a real gold coin. And then for the coins that you get that aren't real gold, you can bring them in and redeem them for a pint of beer during the rest of the week. It's a really neat promotion. I want to talk more about it. I want it to be, I want you guys to understand a little bit more. So I'm actually going to have Bryce Tuttle on from Brown Beard to talk about it next week. So stay tuned for that. That's all the brew news that is fit to print. You're all caught up. Up next, my interview with Up North Distillery's Randy Mann. We talked about his farm-to-flask distillery and how they have sweetened the pot up there in Post Falls. Interview was done on Zoom, so if you want to see the video, go over to YouTube. You can see my my interesting look as I've been a little sick for the last week. So check it out there on YouTube. Otherwise, hear the whole thing right here, right after this. It is officially winter cabin season in Idaho, and there is no better place to stock up than Treasure Valley Chevron. TVC carries an amazing selection of craft beer, wine, hard seltzers, and other fun adult beverages that will turn a lazy weekend at the cabin into an epic mountain party. TVC also carries plenty of other essentials for mountain living, like propane, firewood, s'mores materials, and you might even find a cozy blanket. TVC has it all. Snap a picture of yourself picking up some cabin essentials at TVC. Win a free box of jerky from Old Wisconsin. Just send the picture to us at idahobooze@gmail.com to enter to win a huge box of jerky from Treasure Valley Chevron. Welcome back to the Idaho Booze Podcast with me, Steve Kuntz. And with me today is Randy Mann from Up North Distillery. Randy, how are we doing today?
I am doing very well. How about yourself?
Oh man, I am fighting right now. We got a little cold. I'm on the tail end of a cold. I'm on the end of holidays. It's a lot going on. What about you? How are you doing?
I really can't complain. I'm really starting to get a little bit of a cold, but I think I can stay ahead of it. So.
Nice. Yeah, lots of just all the product you can, just in. So everything you can take. I've done everything just to try to get to where I am right now, and it really isn't worth it. So we're talking about Up North Distillery. You guys are up there in Post Falls, not quite as far up north as you could be, but still pretty good ways north. So really quick, just before we get into kind of what was, separates you, go ahead and tell me a little bit about how you and your wife started your business and how it came to be, and sort of just the process that went into starting Up North Distillery.
So by trade, I am a journeyman lineman. I built power lines for 2 decades plus. My body was starting to get a little beat up, and I had this little hobby of making beer. But I wasn't great at making beer. So when I do like a one-off or something and it didn't turn out really well, I'd put it in the garage and it just took up space. So one day I was at work and a fella was cutting on a beer keg with a torch in the mechanic's bay. And I was just, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm making a whiskey still. And I said, well, tell me about that. And turned out, I had a proposition for him, and we ran my beer that wasn't that fantastic through his whiskey still, and it made really nice moonshine. Even though I guess I shouldn't really say that I broke the law, but I did.
It's so just you and me here, Randy. Yeah,
that was good. So that was how I developed a hobby of making liquor instead of beer. I just stopped making beer altogether for beer consumption, but then after a little bit of practice and my body not being so happy about building power lines as I was getting older, I figured it could be a lucrative segue into another career, and it was. And I get to live this dream every day.
Man, look at you! You're right sitting amongst your tanks there. You got, looks like what What are we looking at in the background there? Is that the
So
the
just to my
distillery?
right here is the mash tun,
Mm-hmm.
and over my shoulder is the top end of the still.
There's the still, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful copper still. Gorgeous.
I guess I can't really get the without without moving.
I'm trying to move some
But
cameras around here.
right.
So you were doing line work and you were brewing bad beer, and your buddy said, "Hey, let's run this thing through the still, see what happens." Yeah, all of a sudden you're like, light bulb, like this is what I want to do. So
Yeah.
then what? Then how does it work from there? Because it doesn't just like I have lots of dreams.
Oh
Like
gosh,
I want to
no.
make flying cars. I just can't go make them. So you all of a
Um,
sudden start distilling booze. How does that happen?
I went as on kind of a whim. I went to a class over on the west side of the mountains, and it was it was a class on how to start up a distillery. And while I was there, I just basically, I mean, this is what I decided to do. So came back. My wife and I got a business plan. We got things rolling, and here we are, just over 9 years later. I've been doing this full time now for 5 years without, after I quit my job at the power company. Um, I come to work every day. I bring my dog. you know,
That's
I
awesome.
have some great freedoms. Yeah, I don't even know where else to go with that. But
That's amazing. I mean, it's an amazing story because I mean, you saw something and you went for it. And actually, up there is kind of Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene. They're not like I wouldn't say the market is saturated. There's some breweries up there. I know Bardenay's up there distilling stuff. I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's some other people up there doing it
There
as
really aren't
well.
very many of us. I
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
mean,
say, but there aren't that many, right?
so you're right. It's definitely not saturated, and it, we are all kind of in competition, but we're also peers.
Oh, for
So
sure. Yeah.
when we if I visit a distillery, they know who I am and I know who they are. We talk to each other about our business. We talk about our products to each other. I mean, we don't you don't give it away, but I mean, if you're having an issue and they know how to fix it, I mean, it's easy to call somebody up and say, "Hey, man, I had this happen. Have you ever had it?" And all of a sudden, yeah, it's like, let's
Oh yeah.
collaborate. So it's not like, oh no, I'm not going to tell you how to fix this issue because I view you as a competitor. So
So
um,
you guys pride yourself on being the first, or at least farm-to-flask distillery, which is a great. Anyone that listens to my show knows I like short, sweet, to the point sayings. I love mottos. I love catchphrases. And farm-to-flask, it itches me right. It hits me right where I itch. I had to tell you that right now. So talk to
all
me
right.
what that means, what farm to flask means, and sort of how that came to be, how that became sort of your motto or your creed or whatever.
So the first product that we came up with was the honey spirits. Um, so we deal with local apiary in southeast Idaho. We buy all of our honey from them, and it comes right from their apiary, which is a bee farm, um, to my distillery where I ferment it and then I distill it and bottle it, barrel it,
So that is
and
kind of your guys's take on it. Is you're all of so a lot of distilleries, basically all you really need to make a neutral spirit or make a spirit of any kind is some kind of sugar, right? You have some kind of sugar. You kind of brew that into like a sort of a liquor, sort of like a syrup or whatever, right? Then you run it through the still. You turn it into an 80 proof or 100 proof spirit. So a lot of people start with potatoes, or they start with wheat, or they start with corn. You guys chose to start with honey. So what went into that decision? How did you come up? I mean, I understand you going out to Tacoma or Seattle or wherever to learn how to do the distilling, but where did you come up with just using honey? It seems to me like that's like the most expensive thing to use.
well, it was very serendipitous the way it happened because when we bought all of our equipment, um, we bought it used, and we bought it from a guy over in Hamilton, Montana. And when I told him, so when we decided to make the purchase, he has a couple of fermenters, still a bunch of other equipment, and he's got 26 55-gallon drums full of honey. And I was like, okay, I just want the equipment. I'm going to make whiskey. And he goes, oh, okay, well, that's fine, but it's still going to cost the same amount of money. So I just decided how to work with honey.
So this guy in Hamilton, you went and bought this stuff from this guy in Hamilton, and he was just like, look, you're either taking the honey or you're not.
Yeah, basically it's all or nothing is what the conversation ended up being.
Okay. So it was less like you get it or not, and more you're taking this honey.
Yeah. You're getting the honey or you're not buying anything from me. So,
okay. That sounds more like our friends from Montana. Okay, I understand that. Okay, so you take all this honey, and then you get back to your place in Post Falls, and you're like, what is this? What do I do?
Well, luckily he told me how to work with it. So,
okay. What's the difference in working with honey than working with a grain mash?
Honey already comes as sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's liquid. So all I really need is hot water to get it to work the way I want to in the beginning.
Yeah.
Whereas grain, I have to start with grain. That's whole grain. Then I have to mill the grain. Then I have to boil the grain, and then I have to clean a mash tun. So the grain is a lot. I mean, and that didn't really make it sound as labor intensive as it is, because I mean it's a lot because it has to go from the grain bin to a weigh bin to where you weigh how much you have, and then you got to make sure your augers don't get jammed or plugged up.
Right.
And then you got to make sure that. Oh my gosh, the weigh bin's calibrated. I don't even know. And then the same thing, like my mill runs faster than my auger to bring it into the building. So if I have the mill running too fast, the auger will get jammed, and then the mill gets jammed, and then it's a whole day of getting things unjammed.
Yes.
Whereas the honey, it's the worst I'm going to do is spill it on the floor and have to mop for a while.
You have to mop it. So I found this really interesting. So you're making a lot of, so all of is it all of your spirits are based on this honey liquor that you make?
No, just our primary spirits. So we now do a single malt whiskey.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that looks great. We'll talk about that.
And then we also make spirits from apples.
So the honey, I just want to stick with the honey real quick because I just think it's really interesting. You guys are basically like almost like a meadery in a way, right? So you have to make like a mead out of this honey before you distill it. So any thoughts of putting out mead or doing mead or doing anything like that?
I have. I remember I bought this honey. I don't even remember how it came about. The guy approached me, had a good price. So I bought this honey from knapweed. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's going to be awful. Okay, it made about the best. It's about the best honey you'll ever have, honestly. And it made this fantastic mead. I mean, honestly, it was like a sparkling Riesling wine. And it was so good when it was even in the very end, when all the sugar was gone and it was just a dry mead. It was so good. And I had 600 gallons of it. And it's like, you know, I was having a hard time keeping up, and it was just like I have this fantastic mead and I can't do anything with it because I have to turn it into liquor.
Yeah.
So
you can't put like a trailer out back and turn it into the meadery, the Up North meadery, and do it that way.
Oh, I probably could. I can't. I mean, all of my demand is all I can keep up with.
Yeah. So talk to me about your honey spirit. I would imagine it's got a lot of complex, interesting flavors. I know that anytime I've only made mead twice, and much like your home brewing experience, my mead making experience was pretty rough. I was really counting on my Norwegian genes to see me through with that, and it didn't happen quite the way I wanted to. I got a lot of notes that it tasted like chloroseptic. So I wasn't really great at making mead, but you guys have this whole honey liquor that you guys make. Tell me about what it tastes like. Tell me about kind of the flavors and what sort of like, how do people like to drink it? How do people consume this honey liquor?
Oh my. So the clear spirit, the unaged, it like I said, it's a really, really good mixer. Um, it works well for drinks that it kind of eliminates the need for the entire amount of a mixer in the cocktail. So say if you're making a lemon drop, which is probably one of the most ordered drinks with the clear spirit in it, um, you don't have to use as much simple syrup. I mean, because the liquor actually has a nice sweet flavor from just its inherent state. So, and you can also, I've used it. It makes a really nice martini. Um, it is a fruity martini, so you're going to garnish it with the strawberry instead. So
Yeah,
it's pretty
of
much that
course.
way.
What sort of flavors do you get out of this out of your spirit? Like, is it flowery? Is it sort
It
of
is a
super
little
sweet?
floral.
Floral? Okay.
You can definitely tell that it's made from honey. I mean, the honey is there. I mean, it's the primary flavor.
Mm,
I mean, but granted, it is alcohol as well, and it's
yeah,
80 proof, so it does, it does burn. It's not going to be like a neutral
got a little
vodka.
bit of burn.
So, which,
Yeah, I
a lot
saw
of
that it
people
was
have
80
no.
proof. That was
So,
another thing I saw in there that it was 80. It's a full 80 proof liquor. Uh, so it's nice. Yeah, you can make like a nice little martini out of it. You can make because other honey liquors that I've seen are usually dumbed down to about 65 or 70 proof, right?
right. Yeah, there's a few in the country now that make a good high proof liquor like I do.
Hmm.
Um, but then, so that was the unaged spirit. We have three other expressions of it. Um, the one being called barrel reserve, that is always aged in a brand new barrel, and it will get at least 3 years in the barrel.
Is that American
Um,
oak?
American white oak, buy it
Nice,
right out of Kentucky.
nice.
So that one, it's really, really nice, especially when I was learning how to make liquor, and well, learning how to age liquor. Uh, it really teaches you a lot when it teaches you about other spirits and why they have the flavors they do. So bourbon is always in a brand new barrel. So this honey spirit that it is always in a brand new barrel, has these great big tones like bourbon does, except it doesn't have a corny flavor because it's made from honey.
Hmm.
Um, so, but when it interacts with that barrel, it's the barrel's charred to heck inside. I mean, it's black, and then it's got chunks of charcoal falling off of it if you bounce it. So, um, all those sugars that are in that barrel, now they take that spirit that tasted mostly like honey, and now they give it butterscotch and caramel notes, and the natural vanilla that's in the barrel itself, really interacts well. And the honey just it matures very well. Um,
Well, I'm sure
oh my gosh,
because it's such a
my whiskey at
complex.
3 years, my whiskey at 3 years is not nearly as good as my honey at
Oh,
3 years.
really?
So yeah, so
So what you guys use a full you guys go full char with those barrels
oh
for the
yeah,
is
bar
that's
number
for the
three,
barrel reserve?
yes. So
Okay, and then what
then,
about the barrel finish? What's the difference between
so
the
the
barrel
barrel
finish and the barrel
finished
reserve?
is the same honey spirit, but it's aged for at least 3 years in a used barrel from the barrel reserve honey.
Okay.
And I also have some that's been sitting for several years in used brandy barrels, but that's going to be a very, very special product. So that one's quite nice, and that's all
We'll
I'm going
look
to say.
forward to that.
I'll dangle that little carrot right there.
Yeah, that
So,
does sound nice. So you got some honey spirits resting in brandy barrels like
mhm.
that. Probably a little cross pollination, if you would.
Oh my.
And then you have a single malt whiskey. This is a North Idaho single malt whiskey. This is something that we're seeing more and more with small distilleries like yourself, craft distilleries like yourself. Tell me how this sort of came to be. It sounds like you first actually got into distilling to make whiskey. At least that's what it sounded like when you were talking about it before. So how big of a detour did you have to take to get to the whiskey, or have you been making it the whole time, or and tell me about it. Tell me about its flavor profile and how it kind of
Uh,
differs. Right.
let's see. I've now been making the whiskey for 6 years. So we didn't have a mash tun. When I bought that fella's distillery, he didn't have a mash tun. So I was going to go and buy one. But since I had the honey, that was what I worked with. That honey has been so lucrative for me. It paid for this. It paid for this piece of equipment right here.
Nice.
So, and like I said, I wanted to make whiskey right out of the gate, and I really wanted to make single malt out of the gate because that was, I love Scotch. Yeah.
Who doesn't?
So let's make Scotch, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, when I finally got the mash tun, I was ecstatic.
I
So
bet.
yeah, get a grain bin, get a whole bunch of grain. I mean, let's make whiskey. So yeah, I've been making whiskey for 6 years now. I do have 6-year-old barrels, but those are just going to sit. I've been putting out in 25-gallon kegs, at 4.5 years because of the way that ages, because of the chemical. It's not chemically 4.5 years now. It's more like 7 or 8. So,
Okay. How does that work?
Nice. Smaller barrels have a better surface ratio,
Sure.
surface to liquid ratio. So it ages faster. So
It looks like in the promotional picture here, at least, that you get a really nice golden sort of amber color on it. So it looks like it's hitting that barrel pretty nicely.
oh yeah, it's nice. Yeah. So
And what's sort of the main flavor profiles that you get from that from your single malt?
I don't use just plain distiller's 2-row malt. I get a roasted malt that still has the enzymatic powder to change starch into sugar, but it still has a different flavor profile. So it comes out with more of a chocolatey coffee note in the very beginning.
Mm.
And then after it ages, it ends up more Tootsie Roll-esque, if you will. It gets really good hazelnut and caramel notes, and plus it maintains the chocolate and the coffee, and then the interaction from just the barrel itself. It gets really good oak notes, and it's beautiful whiskey. I think it's been very well received since it's been distributed statewide now. So,
what's your favorite way to drink your whiskey?
in a Glencairn glass, neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neat. Nice. Do people ever get like maybe a highball or anything like that when they come into the bar?
We do make old fashions, Manhattans. So
Nice.
yeah, we have a full bar. I guess I should have prefaced that as well. But yeah, the whiskey itself is really nice in a smoked maple old fashioned. So basically, just 2 ounces of single malt whiskey, half an ounce to 3/4 of an ounce of maple syrup, and a couple dashes of your favorite bitters, served on a big ice cube, and it's really nice.
All right, that does sound pretty good. You get into that. What about with the barrel reserve? So I was looking at the honey
Oh,
stuff, and with the I at least from what I know, barrels can impart a lot of different flavors. So maybe it sounds to me like you can use the neutral. I'll just call it neutral. I know it's not the honey spirit. It's just called honey, right? Honey spirit. You can use that as any. You said anything but a gin. So does it kind of mimic can you make like rum and coke? I mean, like a honey and coke and all that stuff. I
absolutely.
mean, yeah, and it's all good, huh?
Yeah.
But with the barrel finish and the barrel reserve, I imagine that you get more complex flavors in those. So you might want to do something different with it. Are there different cocktails that you do with those two bottles as
The,
opposed to the honey?
we use those a lot in old fashions. The barrel reserve is the one that if you were to order a Manhattan in this bar, that would be the primary spirit that we would use. Let's see.
And
We
you'd use
use
it in place of the whiskey?
correct.
Okay.
And yeah, and the barrel finish, we use that in more like the old fashions that would have more of a fruity flavor, like a huckleberry old fashioned. We make another drink called the Smoke in the Meadow that has elderflower liqueur in it instead of simple syrup, and that one's really good with the barrel finished as well. The barrel finished, it's more of a, well, it's a lighter spirit. So and this is when I give tours, I tell everybody this: when the Scots and the Irish started making whiskey and they're aging it in barrels, they were ahead of the curve when they were started to use used barrels, because it makes a nice light spirit, and helps maintain the sweetness. Plus, it interacts with the liquor that's already been in the barrel. So the barrel finish to me drinks a lot more like a Highland Scotch, because it is nice, light, and sweet, and it's very approachable for somebody who's maybe wanting to learn about drinking now, learning how to drink whiskey or any kind of hard liquor,
Yeah.
So that's the one. It's you give them a non-peated Scotch to have them start with a nice light honey
I was
spirit.
going to say, as you and I know, Highland Scotch is a nice way to start, right?
Right.
Like, what we want is something maybe with a little bit more char, a little bit more peat in it. Any plans to do anything like that in the future? Anything fun like that?
I think I might. I will have to play around with it. I've been asked to make peated single malt, so
Well, now
you
there's some other.
gotta listen to your clientele somewhat.
That's right. There's some other little whiskey manufacturers I know, like in Seattle, where they were kind of bought up and they don't make their peated anymore, which is really sad because it was a
Oh,
really great
really?
product. Yeah. So I'd love to see an Idaho made peated whiskey. That'd be awesome for me personally. I would be really, really stoked on that. And not just that, but there's some like there's some other barrels out there that I've seen people use, and like sherry casks, stuff like that, that it comes out really nicely. But
Well, I do have another product coming soon. I'm still working on the label and try to get the description correct on it and get something my wife and I can both agree on what we're calling it. But I had two barrels. They were sherry, they're sherry butts, but they previously held rum. And so they are, well, it's going to be about 200 gallons worth of booze, and it's really, really nice. And when it hits the market, then we'll tell everybody about it.
Yeah, I mean that sounds amazing. So yeah, let us know when that happens, and we'll get a sample of that down here, lickety split, to give that a try. Now you guys also have a brandy, sort of this getting more into the farm to flask element of your distillery. You also have a brandy line. Tell us about your brandy line, kind of how that came to be, and what you sort of expect out of that.
So that's also been a product that we've done since right from the beginning, as well as the honey. We make apple brandy. We do have an unaged version of it, which is, I can't call it Calvados because it's made here in the United States, but it is the same product. Then we have a barrel aged version, which is called out on the label as 3 years. So it spends at least 3 years to the day in a barrel. So right now I have none in my warehouse, and the barrel that will be emptied next, it won't be 3 years old until the 27th. So I can't even think about emptying it until, what is that, 10, 20 days or 19 days?
Oh, man. Oh, as a former sales professional for a brewery, I got to tell you, that would drive me nuts. But I mean, you got to be going crazy just sitting there without any product, and also with 20 more days to go until you can open the damn thing.
Well, and then I'm looking at how much I have in my liquor store and how much I have to use in my bar, and I'm going, man, I hope this lasts another almost 3 weeks. So
You have to let us know how that turns out. So what are some of the flavor profiles you get? Obviously, I mean, a lot of people don't know apple brandy. You do get some of that apple, but it's also like for me, I also get a lot of complex flavors of like it's earthy, and it's got a lot of other kind of fun flavors as well. So what do you guys kind of look for when you guys are making your apple brandy?
So for the unaged brandy, I mean, it's always the same to me. It's in your face. I mean, it's just apple, and it's like, oh wow, that's what it is. And then you go to this 3-year-old apple brandy. Now it's been in a I always do it in a brand new barrel, char number 3. And like I said, 3 years to the day at least. And so now, I mean, you get this snifter of brandy and you bring it to your face and it's like, oh my goodness, what is this? On the nose, it's just like apple spice cake. And then when you take a sip, it's like apple spice cake and cotton candy. And it's just like, that's what I look for. And
Wow. That sounds nice. And then are you able to make like some fun cocktails with that too?
yeah, I mean, we use it just like you'd use any whiskey. I mean, just like the honey spirits. I mean, it's just got a little fruitier flavor. So
That's cool. So it's like, yeah, like you said, like Calvados. Sorry, what is that? What is the
Calvados.
Spanish? Yeah, Calvados. It's like
I
Calvados
translated.
with a little bit of like that kind of vanilla,
Oh gosh,
butterscotch, like you're talking
oh
about
man,
barrel aged, smoky
I
kind of
kind of
flavor,
want.
right?
I kind of want to have a. I want to show you with it in my hand, but
Yeah,
it's
just throw it
another.
through the internet. We'll just get a little
Yeah.
taste. I'll get
Oh,
some.
I think it's
I'll get
perfect
some
up there.
samples of it here in a little bit, and we'll talk about it on the show later. And then you have something called Big Kid Cider. This is something I looked at with a little bit of a raised eye because it sounds to me like it's just like a sort of a watered down version of it, but it's not that. So tell us exactly what it is.
It is a product that's definitely made for the masses. Um, it is the high proof or not honey proof, the high proof apple brandy. Excuse me,
Hmm.
and it is cut to proof with fresh apple juice rather than water. So, and it's only 20% alcohol.
Yeah,
I've turned a lot of Crown Apple drinkers into Big Kid Cider drinkers.
that's
I don't know
good.
if I can say that,
That's
but
good. The more of those you can turn around, the better.
all right. And I mean, like I said, just made for the masses. It's sweet. It's easy to drink. It will sneak up on you if you're not paying attention
What sort of
because
package does that come in? Does it come in just like a normal like liquor bottle package, or how do you guys package it?
if you give me 1 second, I can get a bottle and I'll show you
You-
a flask style bottle.
Okay, cool. And so that one you can just drink on the rocks. You can drink straight. I mean, it's only 20. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
hard for straight, but you can drink on the rocks, or you can even make like a little like yeah, like a hot toddy with it, or some kind of old fashioned.
Yes, it works in a hot toddy. We do that with it as well.
Sounds to me like a almost like an
Um,
amaretto type of
we make like
consistency.
oh no, it's I can't stand amaretto, so I can stand this. Um,
Apparetto.
so we we make mimosas with it.
Hmm.
So and since it's 20% alcohol, we use sparkling Martinelli cider
Oh
to cut it.
wow,
But
that sounds
if you
awesome.
want, if you want it with champagne, we can do that as well. But
Yeah. That sounds better, but the Martinelli sounds good too. They both sound pretty good. And that's a is that a something that you guys do pretty well with that big kid cider? You guys see a lot of that going out the door?
oh yeah, until we had the single malt on the shelf for statewide sales, this was our best seller.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah.
That's neat. Yeah, I gotta get. You know what? I gotta talk to our friends down here, and I gotta get some samples of this stuff. That big kid cider sounds like something I'd like to try, especially with mimosas. Like I get so tired of the same old mimosa every morning. You know what I mean? I need something different. And then we have this other thing here, North Idaho Pine Liquor. I've delved into pine before in adult beverages. It's not something that I've come away with being all that happy with, but you guys seem to be really happy with this one. It seems to be kind of your specialty. So tell us about that real quick, how that
Yes, it
sort of
is.
came to
It's
be.
definitely not something you're going to sit and drink neat. Um, the when I give it to people in flights, I preface it with the biggest word on the label is pine, and there's a reason for that. Um, it works really. I love it. So, and I know I probably say the word Manhattan a lot because, well, I say it a lot because it's my favorite drink.
Okay.
Um, so when I make my Manhattans at home, I will use my barrel reserve or a nice bitey rye whiskey, and then instead of an ounce of vermouth, I will have half an ounce of vermouth and half an ounce of the pine liqueur, and it dries it out really nice. It just balances. It's almost, I mean, it's better than a perfect Manhattan, which is half and half sweet and dry vermouth. In my opinion, we'll just go with that. But it's also nice on a little bit of it has to be vanilla bean ice cream, and that's my opinion again as well. But just like a half an ounce on a regular sized bowl of ice cream, it's quite nice. Somebody actually mentioned maybe putting it on some Cherry Garcia, which
I could do.
I've never been a fan of Cherry Garcia, but you know what? It might work.
Yeah, with that pine, that might work. That might work out all right. Cool. Well, we're going to take a short break here, Randy. I want you to come back. We're going to wrap up the interview, talk about what's next for you guys and what's going on with some of your distribution, stuff like that. This is the Idaho Booze Podcast. I'm here with Randy Mann from Up North Distillery in Post Falls, and we will be right back. The holidays are over, but that does not mean giving up on the holiday cheer. And the best way to get to cheer is through beer. And that's why you need a Boise Beer Buddies card. This card and the amazing Boise Beer Buddies app unlock incredible savings at the best restaurants, bars, breweries, and even a bunch of great wineries in Idaho. Many save you $1 or more. Some save you as much as 25% off your whole bill. The best part is you make other beer buddies through Boise Beer Buddies' amazing social media connection pages. Save money on beers you're already buying. Upgrade your cheer and be a buddy by picking up your Boise Beer Buddies card today. Use promo code Idaho Booze at checkout. Get a free card with the purchase of one at BoiseBeerBuddies.com. Welcome back to the Idaho Booze Podcast with me, Steve Kuntz, and joining me is Randy Mann from Up North Distillery. Randy, still doing good over there?
I still am.
Awesome. And you are up in Post Falls right now at your distillery, and I guess your bar is probably right there on the same grounds as the distillery, right?
Yes, it's just on the other side of the window.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, there it is. And you guys have an awesome catalog of spirits here that we went over. We did miss one. I thought I got all of them, but we did miss one. Tell us all about the one that I missed here.
So the one that we neglected is our cask-strength honey spirit.
Look at that.
So this is always the barrel finished product. And it wasn't even on my radar to put out a cask-strength product at the time I did. But I emptied a barrel one day, and it was going to be for barrel finished. And I always take a sip of it before I start proofing it down. And as soon as I took a sip of that one barrel, I decided there was no way I was putting water in that spirit because it was a really exceptional barrel in that respect. So, I bottled it all, stuck it on the shelf, got label approval, and then I had a cask strength product.
This is sort of what you get when you deal with a smaller distillery or smaller craft beverage producers like you, right, Randy? Like, nobody at Jack Daniel's is emptying barrels out and tasting some from the barrel and going, hitting the giant red button and stopping the line and being like, we have to bottle this one. This is the one. But right. You were able to because you're operating there, yourself, and maybe I don't know how many employees you have or whatever, but you're there, you're emptying a barrel, you try it, you just you're like, what the hell, I might as well give it a try, see what it tastes like. And you're like, this is it. This needs to be served this way, right?
Absolutely. And it's so nice to do like lateral tasting of the barrel finished and the cask strength product, especially when they're the same product from the same barrel, because I won't always bottle the entire barrel. I'll just bottle what I need for this product, and then the rest will just be the barrel finished. But when both products from that same barrel are on the shelf at the same time in the bar, and people come in for a flight, and it's just like, oh gosh, well, you got to try both of them because you can't not, So
totally understand.
So this has so much. I mean, that it's like a Werther's butterscotch caramel, and you would never think that, thinking that it's 59.85% alcohol. right? So
Navy strength.
you're gonna go, man, that's basically 60% alcohol.
It's a
There's no way
spicy
I can. I
meatball.
mean, a lot of people will be like, there's no way I could taste that, right? It's gonna burn all the way down, and I promise you, it won't. This is
Really?
it's beautiful. It's very, very nice. But
And
then,
I've said it before. Anytime I get up above 105, 110 proof, it just evaporates on my tongue. I would love to try that. It sounds amazing. Like, what are some? So it's like a Werther's original, and I mean, I guess you just probably have that one on ice or neat, or how do you drink that?
very small quantities in a snifter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, this one I would definitely not suggest putting ice in. Just have it
Yeah,
neat. Um, Other than that, I mean, it's such a high proof. I've never used it for a cocktail. So, and if I do drink it, I'm not having more than like half an ounce, you know.
yeah,
And kind of the unwritten rule in the bar is, well, the rule is that a pour of this is only 1 ounce, and people are limited to two. So, because I
so
just don't want
yeah.
to get somebody plowed, you know.
Well, I mean, there are people out there that really do enjoy cask strength whiskeys and what are they called, naval strength gins and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
I totally get that, and I'm on board with it. This product is different than that. This is something that you you sought out, you found kind of. It actually kind of sought you out. Is actually more what it sounds like,
Yeah.
and and you're just able to kind of get that expression that you want out of that barrel with this particular product. And yeah, you don't want to. That's the thing with the cast strength people that I have the hardest time with. Like I said, whenever I taste anything that's over 110 proof, it just disappears on my. It's like gasoline. It was like,
Mhm.
and I'm always happy for people that do enjoy those products though, because I think they enjoy that product more than I enjoy my like little old fashioned or whatever I like to drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I that being said, I definitely give half an ounce of that a try, and it'd probably take me all night to drink, but I'd be really happy
Yeah,
about
it's definitely not a shooter.
that. Yeah, right. Have you ever had? There's a cocktail I was thought of immediately when I saw your honey spirit, which is called a bee's knees. Have you ever had like one of those, or is that something that?
That is one of the most popular drinks that we serve. We actually
Yeah.
own another whiskey bar, and it's called the Bee's Knees.
Oh, no
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
I think I've been by that, but I've driven by that bar before. I don't know if I've been in, but I've definitely driven by. Yeah, tell us about your bars real quick. I guess you have two bars, so tell us about where you are now, and then tell us about the bee's knees.
So up north is the only liquors that we serve in up north that are not ours are the mixers. So if it's, well, Aperol, Screwball, St. Elder, something like that. If it's not one of those, it is going to be our spirit. So we're just totally focused on our product at this building.
As it
So
should
when you
be.
go to, yeah, so when you go to Bee's Knees, we carry every one of our products there, but we also have a wall of whiskey that's, my wife said the other day, has over 400 whiskeys on it. Whether they bourbon, Scotch, or Irish, they're all there. But we don't only have whiskey. We do have gins and vodkas and tequilas. So a lot of people get confused because it's called the Bee's Knees Whiskey Bar. So they, so yeah.
And
So
where is the bee's knees?
it is in Hayden Lake, Idaho.
Okay, up north, even up more norther, up norther. And then you guys are in Post Falls. Where are you in Post Falls?
Um, so we are on the corner of Pleasant View and Saltese.
Hmm.
So we're right off the freeway, just about a quarter mile. You get off of the freeway onto an arterial, and we're on the intersection of another arterial with it. So
Not too far from where Selkirk Abbey used to be. Sounds like.
actually, they were on the other side of town.
Oh,
So
other side of town. Oh, okay. So
yeah,
you're on the Post Falls. That's right. So you're in the first
we're on
freeway
the west
exit.
side, and they were on the east side of town.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Fair enough.
And
Uh,
until just recently, our property line out here used to be the city the city limits, and now
mhm.
they annexed the property next to us back into the city. So I
Yeah.
can no
Post
longer
Falls is
sit
growing like
on the
crazy.
edge of town.
Post Falls is growing like crazy, isn't it?
I don't know if
And
it
then
still is, but not too long ago, it was the fastest growing town in America.
yeah, it was Post Falls was number one, and then Meridian out here by us was like number five. So yeah, lots of growth going on. So that just means more people are going to need more honey spirits. So that brings us to distribution. Where are you guys? You guys in the liquor stores? What can we get from the liquor store from you guys right now? What are we able to get? And then what are you guys in bars and stuff all over the Treasure Valley, all over the state? How does that work?
So we are in bars in the Treasure Valley. Our reps, Scott and Rochelle for North Star Spirits, they handle the accounts down there. They get us placements. Um, let's see, we do a lot of it up here. A lot of it's word of mouth. I mean, since we are bar owners, we have peers that are bar owners as well. So, hey, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I'll come in for a martini on Sunday if you want to carry a bottle of something for a while. So that works out quite well.
Makes sense to
Um,
me.
yeah. Then we are distributed through another company nationally. They can ship to 42 states, just not Idaho. If of the states they are allowed to ship to, they're not allowed to ship to Idaho because we are already placed in the state.
Mhm.
So, but they're based out of Washington D.C. They're called Big Thirst, and if you go to our website, you can order directly from our website. Excuse me.
Yeah, you guys have a
And
lot of good stuff on your website. It's upnorthdistillery.com. You go there, it has basically like your story, the stuff about the cocktail bar has recipes for other cocktails for all of your with all of your spirits. And then yeah, it does have a little shop button you can go to. And I guess that's where you would if you're not in the state of Idaho, you could go there and shop, right?
correct.
Cool. And then at the liquor store, you guys have a couple things on there all the time. You have what the whiskey
We have
and
the single
brandy.
malt, and we have the unaged and 3-year-old apple brandy as well. Um, the Let's see. So if you want to buy barrel reserve, pine liqueur, or cask strength, you must come to our distillery.
Okay.
That's we got to have some hooks, but
Hey,
but,
I haven't
but
talked into it. The whole place smells like honey, and you have 110 proof cast strength stuff there. I'm in. You don't have to talk. Don't have to tell me.
right,
Plus
and
single malt whiskey. Done and done.
and pretty proud of the single malt whiskey. So
You have to check it out.
um, yeah, then we work with other people too. We have collaboration products. So there's a gal, I can't remember her name, but she is in, I'm pretty sure, Meridian.
No,
Oh, Caldwell. Close enough.
no.
But
Okay, sure.
he takes our big kid cider and makes caramels with it.
Oh boy.
And so, yes, and she has a shop there in Caldwell. Um, Bluebird Confections.
There you go. Bluebird
So,
Confections in Caldwell.
so, and I mean, I've been at trade shows where she's been there, and she makes not just the one flavor of caramel. So she makes very amazing caramels.
All right. Well, I can't wait to try those out as well. So yeah, that's awesome, Randy. Man, I'm really excited to try your stuff for sure. We'll have to next time we have you on, we'll have to do some tastings. Maybe I'll come up there and we'll do a big old flight out the bar or something fun like that.
Those are always fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate you being on the show today. Thank you so much for being on. I hope you had a good time. And coming up after this, we're going to do some Friday Night Pint reviews. We're going to talk about how this dry January thing is going, which I'm not a fan of. And we're going to talk about more about some of these whiskeys and stuff like that after this. Thanks so much for being on the show today, Randy. Take care.
Thanks so much for having me.
All
Enjoy your
right,
new year.
bye. Hey, Happy New
Bye-bye.
Year. Happy New Year to you, buddy. This show brought to you by Warren Reserve Cocktail Company. Looking to spice things up in the cocktail department? Try adding a little taste of chili to your next cocktail with Chili Lime Bitters from Warren Reserve. Just 2 drops will give your old-fashioned, whiskey sour, or margarita just the right amount of zing to warm you up in these cold winter months. Want to feel the burn? Just add another 2 drops. Chili Lime Bitters turn a simple Bloody Mary into a beautiful spicy Bloody without adding more mix or booze. Just a couple of drops of Chili Lime Bitters will do ya. Get Chili Lime Bitters at warrenreserve.com, order online, get free delivery, plus save 15% on orders over $40 with my promo code Idaho Booze 25 at checkout. That's warrenreserve.com, Idaho Booze 25 at checkout. Save tons of money on awesome bitters from Warren Reserve Cocktail Company. Welcome back to the show. I'm Steve Kuntz, and this week's Friday Night Pints, we are going to hit a couple of NAs because that's kind of what I'm seeing out there on the shelves. As somebody who is sort of dry curious this January, I'm not willing to stick both feet in because I just don't. I have some things coming up. I have some parties and some other things. I don't know if I'm going to be totally dry this January. I'll be honest with you. But I am dry curious. So I think it's neat that we're seeing a more diverse group of non-alcoholic versions of adult beverages. However, this does not extend to NA seltzers. You sick bastards that are putting out NA seltzers under a label that is typically an alcoholic hard seltzer. Shame on you. Just drink a LaCroix. They're $1. Don't go spend $8 on a 4-pack of black cherry NA seltzer when you can just go buy LaCroix. They're $24 for 24 of them at Costco. For the love of God. Now, this could also apply to a couple that I'm gonna show you later here. NA apple ciders, which is otherwise known as apple juice. Meriwether has one out that's really good. These 2 are from Two Towns. Two Towns has a Pacific Pineapple NA cider. This one promises tons of tropical fruit and juicy flavors, as it is a blend of Costa Rican gold pineapples and Northwest apples. So the alcohol is then removed after fermentation, I guess by wizards. Really not, maybe they're like religious wizards or something. And so they get it down to about 0.5% ABV. So it's a dryish January choice, I guess. And this is available year round from Two Towns. That's again, Two Towns Pacific Pineapple NA cider. Then Two Towns Cosmic Crisp NA. This is the same alcohol sucking wizards are back to give this Two Towns Cosmic Crisp that 0.5% ABV. The cider is made with Washington grown Cosmic Crisp apples, giving it a ripe, juicy flavor without the booze. You can also find this year-round from Two Towns. And then Firestone Walker has a new beer out, 805 NA Blonde. They'll tell you that this is the best-tasting non-alcoholic beer around. Actually, on their website, it says best-tasting non-alc around. So there you go. It's a crisp, refreshing blonde ale without all the booze. Weighs in at about 0.3% ABV. So I guess their alcohol-sucking wizards do a little bit better job than Two Towns. Firestone says it crafted it with the best ingredients to deliver full flavor, quote, when it matters most. Not sure what that means. When it matters most. I don't know. I don't know what that means. But I'll grab a 6-pack. I like 805. It does sound pretty good. And like I said, I'm dry curious, so we'll figure out how that tastes. Find all of these things at Whole Foods. And then we have an A pick. This is Odell Old Dude Stout. This is the Michael Teeter pick of the week. Old Dude Stout sounds like a beer that this old dude right here would appreciate. It's a 5% dry stout with clean flavors of cocoa, bitter chocolate, and coffee. The finish is smooth, and at just 5%, you can go back for more. My type of stout from Odell, 5%, found in 6-packs at Whole Foods. That is going to do it for the show. I want to thank my guest, Randy Mann from Up North Distillery in Post Falls. He is doing some really amazing work up there with his honey liquor and single malt whiskey, so be sure to give them a try. Many thanks to our sponsors, and especially our brand new sponsor, Warren Reserve Cocktail Company. Be sure to use my promo code Idaho Booze 25 at checkout. You're going to get 15% off any order over $40 at warrenreserve.com. And let's face it, if you're buying bitters, your order is going to be over $40. Bitters aren't cheap, and these are amazing bitters. Go get that West 509. Go get that coffee pecan. Go get that chili lime. They're all awesome. 15%. I wouldn't have these guys sponsor the show if I didn't think their product was awesome. And this product is awesome. So Idaho Booze 25 at checkout. Get 15% off any order over $40 plus free delivery. Wow, what a deal. Thank you to Treasure Valley Chevron. Also an awesome place. Boise Beer Buddies. Thank you so much. Idaho Brewers United, thank you. I hope you're having a happy new year, and I'm super excited for all the fun we're going to have here on this pod. Starting next week when my voice hopefully comes back with Bryce Tuttle from Brown Beard Brewing. Until next week, I am your host, Steve Kuntz, and this has been the Idaho Booze Podcast. Good day and good drinking, everyone.